This is Colourful Radio.
Our music,
our
news,
news,
our
our
views.
views.
So that was Ladisi, Best Friend. Beautiful track from a very beautiful woman. And I'm now pleased to say that I'm joined by Natalie Thompson. Natalie, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
And each Sunday, I normally do something called Appreciation Sunday. And that's where we kind of just reflect and think about what we are grateful for, who we appreciate and what we appreciate right now in this moment. So I have to ask you, Natalie, what do you appreciate today?
What do I appreciate today? Today, I appreciate my mum, who sent me a message on my way here to find out what time I was going to be on. So proud, mum.
Oh, that's lovely. I hope she's tuning in right now. What's mummy's name?
Yvonne.
Hi, Yvonne. I hope you're well. Natalie, you are the founder of Bespoke, Binny. Mm-hmm. How did this idea come about, and what does the Binny part in the company's name mean?
Okay. When it came about, it actually wasn't intending to be a business idea at all. I decided a few years ago that I wanted to learn to sew. And so I went to some evening sewing classes, really, really loved it. Just started making things at home, really, just for the pure enjoyment of it. Home furnishings, especially, I just love everything home. I love grand designs. I love things like that. So I started making home furnishings, again, just at home. And friends kind of really, really liked it. And like, oh, you should sell these. And I kind of thought, really? But kind of after some encouragement, I went to a few shows and just tried to sell a few things. And it did really well. So I thought, okay, maybe there's something in this. Of my own accord, I probably actually wouldn't have done it.
Really?
Yeah.
So when your friends were saying, look, Natalie, this is a really, really good idea, did you struggle with believing that your product was good enough?
I really did struggle with that, if I'm being totally honest. And especially because I know there's lots of people out there who, have actually done training in whether it's interior design or textiles and things like that. And I kind of thought, oh, well, I don't have all of that. So could this really be viable? I didn't believe it for quite a while, I don't think.
So do you think if you did have a skill in it, that your self-doubts would have been somewhat reduced? Or because you're probably likely to have still had those self-doubts, no? Because it's still about, when you're doing something you love and you're putting it out there, I guess regardless of whether you're skilled or not, there's always that fear that people aren't going to maybe receive it how you'd.
Absolutely. I do think, even if I did have those skills, I do think that it would have made me more confident on one hand. But on the other hand, I do think, I think we all have self-doubts, that little voice kind of questioning us sometimes. But
Self-acceptance is the theme of today's show, as you know. And by consciously choosing to use African print in your pieces, what are you saying to the world?
Saying, hello there, I'm Ghanaian and I'm proud. In essence, really. I mean, it's something that really is kind of quite dear to my heart, my Ghanaian heritage. And even though I think my main thrust of my furnishings is about it being feel good, I think for it to have a piece of me, that was how I chose to embrace that, really.
God, yeah. That's really interesting, especially as today, we're talking about self-acceptance and you are acknowledging who you are and your heritage, which is actually brilliant. So as you just said, you're Ghanaian, and that is very much present within your pieces. Your awareness of your culture, acceptance and celebration of it shines through, and that's just my own opinion. And you clearly love what you do, and that love is owned by each person that purchases a piece. Most people understand and know of feng shui. However, the transference of energy is also important. Would you agree?
I definitely do agree. I think it's something that we probably don't give enough thought to, but if you think about, like, for example, I think the other day I was getting on the tube on my way to work, and this guy was really angry at the platform, and he kicked the train. I think he'd just missed it, and he kind of went on his way. And it just kind of made me think that, that kind of transfer of energy of his anger, there would have been a few of us on the platform that would have picked up on that. And, it might affect your mood as you go on. You then pass it on to someone else. But then obviously from a positive point of view as well, someone, kind word, a nice gesture, I think you carry that with you, and you do kind of transfer that to the people that you come across as well.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. And the fact that you make something, you make that, there's a lot of time, love and attention that's gone into that. And then you sell those pieces, and I do believe that the person who has what you've made also picks up on that same kind of energy. That's how I'd like to think of it. Whether that's true or not, I don't know if that's scientifically, sound, but it's just how I visualize that to be.
That is my hope. I do put a lot of time and effort into planning and making my things. I really, really, that is my hope, that actually people do kind of take away, and it makes them feel happy, and they take away that message with them.
Brilliant. Now, research shows that colours can influence moods, so can quotes and affirmations. And your knowledge is present through your work in the hope it makes a positive impact on individuals, which is what you just said. However, what impact and benefits has your work as a therapist and designer had on your health, well-being and personal development?
Wow, that's another biggie, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm just chucking them at you today.
I think I do get a buzz out of being able to help somebody, and that may not be necessarily directly through everything that I do, but even if it's to help someone reflect on something, if they go away and are able to kind of make changes positively for themselves later. But I do get a real buzz out of being able to help, whether that is at work or whether that is through my pieces that I make outside of work.
And from doing Bespoke, Binny, how have you seen your own development develop?
I think I've definitely learnt to kind of take my time with things, take things in my stride. I think I've always been someone who's kind of had a bit of a fear of failure at times. And I think exactly like you said earlier, when you're kind of putting yourself out there, not knowing how it's going to be received, I think I'm learning much more to kind of do that and just see how it goes and not let the fear actually prevent me from putting those things out there.
Yeah, it's almost like a self-sabotage, isn't it? Because you do the work, you want to, and there's a conflict within that. So you do the work, you want to put it out there, you want people to see it, but then it's the fear of how it's being received, and if it's not how you want it to be received, and it's just this constant conflict within yourself.
Absolutely.
And luckily for us now, we can see that the self-doubt was beaten.
And I think actually if you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know. You could have made something wonderful, but if you don't actually put it out there, whether that is for you to get some constructive criticism or whether that's people can tell you it's wonderful, you're actually never going to know unless you take that step to put yourself out there.
And that's something that India Irie speaks about all the time. And when I was with Rashid, we played a song called Soul Bird Rise, which is about just spreading your wings and flying. And then when you fly, you realise, what it is that you can do and how far you have come. So I think it's brilliant. In your work, you use a lot of African proverbs, especially or mainly on your cushions. What is your favourite African proverb and why?
It is actually one of the ones that's on my cushions.
Oh, really?
And it's, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
I really like that one because I think that it just kind of demonstrates that we are social creatures. We need support. We need people around to help guide us. We're not meant to do most things in our journey alone. I think the society we live in is quite individualistic, and we can often feel that actually if we need some support, that you shouldn't be reaching out, you should somehow be coping on your own. And I just don't think that's true. And I think that proverb really encapsulates that.
I actually agree with you. I do think, though, however, in the first stages of doing what you want to do is about being alone, though, because you have to sort of like almost hone into yourself to bring your skills and the truth of what you want out. And then once it's born, I believe, then you can begin to maybe speaking to other people about it more. I just think sometimes in terms of speaking about your dreams too early, there are dream killers around. Did you know that, Natalie?
This is very true. I did know
there are
that.
Dream killers. And if you're trying to bring an idea to life, especially as from what Rashid was talking about earlier on, which is about finding your skills. So at the very beginnings of finding your skills, where you are tapping into yourself, and maybe you do have an idea. I think when you speak on it too soon with just everyone, there's going to be a dream killer within that.
See, I think that's the kind of key that you've hit the nail on the head. It's about everybody. I think that it's something about who your support network is. If you've got the right people around you, then I don't think that needs to be an issue. I think that is something to reflect on about who your circle are.
Fully agree with you. And also as well, you know, checking things out with people you trust. You've also already identified your mum and other members of your family, and they are there to support you. So I think if you do have that with people and with friends and family, then I think it's fabulous. But yeah, it's just to be mindful of that there are dream killers around. And I know that sounds so harsh, but it's the truth. And because we're people who, you know, I don't know if you're like this, but I know that I am. I could receive great feedback, but that one negative feedback is the one that's going to stick. And then it kind of throws the balance off kilter. And it's like, no, okay, that's just one person's opinion. It differed from the others. That's fine. I'm still going to take it on board, but I'm not going to let it eat me up. And I think that's also important as well. Would you agree?
I think that's very important. It's actually something that when I'm doing CBT at work, that's something that we actually get people to hone in on. Actually, you know, if you have to write a list, actually writing a list and weighing up and having a look at, well, how many people have said negative things compared to how many people have said positive things, and which one is outweighing which, because we can often magnify the negative. But just like you said, actually that could be a tiny drop in the ocean, and it's really important to get some perspective on that.
Exactly. But let's talk about your work as a CBT therapist, actually, because that's what you are also. But not, you know, all of us aren't just one thing, which is something that I always say in this show. How did you embark on a career as a CBT therapist, and what kind of issues do you work with?
I trained as a CBT therapist in 2012, but before that I was working in the field of CBT, kind of as a junior. We called it a low intensity therapist or a wellbeing practitioner. So in total I've been working in the area of CBT for about 7 or 8 years now. Yeah, it's something that I really, really enjoy. I've always wanted to work in the field of psychology, but I think it's not until I finished my degree that I decided that it was CBT that I was going to go into. It is flavour of the month in the NHS.
Oh, it sure is.
And I mainly see people who are suffering from depression or various kind of forms of anxiety. I'm also training as a counselling psychologist at the moment too, just kind of broaden my horizon. So I'll still have my CBT, but I'll have some other areas to work with as well.
Brilliant. And so with CBT, homework is normally prescribed. But I shouldn't say prescribed because it sounds like a prescription, which therefore sounds like drugs. So individuals or clients are invited to do homework. And the reason behind that is the notion that the therapy doesn't stop as you walk out the room. It's a continuous thing that the client needs to work on. And the homework is there to help support the client, to show them that whatever it is that they're thinking of isn't the be all and end all. So it's like homework that is given, sort of almost challenge the thinking of what the person's issue is.
Absolutely.
In regards to that way of working, how have you seen the response? Would you say it's something that positively works?
I think it is something that works. I think it's all about how you frame it. And what I often try and say to clients is that, you know, you come to see me for an hour once a week, but an hour once a week out of your whole week is nothing. So, you know, we can have some really great conversations and reflect about things here for an hour, but actually, if nothing else happens outside of that hour, it's really hard to make change. You know, the same way that if you were trying to embark on something, or you had a hobby or something that you were doing, if you only did it for an hour a week, it would probably take you a very long time to get there if at all. And so you kind of need to channel more energy into it. And so sometimes that needs to happen outside of the therapy room.
And also it's about taking self-responsibility as well, because there's only so much you as a counsellor can do. The rest, the majority, is for the individuals to begin thinking about. Although the show isn't a counselling show, obviously I'm a counsellor, so and what I try and do is put the nudges in, put some psychology knowledge in there, in layman terms, just to help people begin to self-reflect. Because I have this saying, which is, no matter who you are, what job you have, who you are is central to everything. And the foundations of Self-Central is self-awareness, self-acceptance and self-love, because I think that's what you need to give to yourself to give yourself a chance. I think it's all very interesting. And I love your work. I do love your work.
Thank you.
And the importance of colour as well. I think sometimes we just think we have to be bland. And I've always said, and I keep saying, that we are all rainbows. We have different aspects of ourselves, and when combined together, we shine out. And I think your work also does the same thing in a different way. Not in a rainbow, but in an African print. I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that because I do nudges daily. So I do them on the Self Central Facebook, and I tweet them. And I think nudges are important, but you do your nudges on cushions because your cushions have quotes. So when you have the cushion in your house, that is almost like a nudge to remind that person of what it is they have to remember. And I think it's a brilliant idea.
Thank you very much.
So Natalie, thank God that you didn't let self-doubt eat you alive and stop you doing what it was that you was meant to be doing as a creative, because we are all many things.
We are indeed.
Yeah, and are you glad that you didn't stop?
I'm very, very glad that I didn't stop, and I'm very, very thankful to all the people along the way who didn't let me stop when I was having those moments of doubt.
So the support network is also really important.
It's very important to me.
Natalie, you have been fabulous. And is there any last words that you'd like to leave to our listeners?
Believe in yourself. That sounds so cheesy, but
it doesn't sound cheesy. It's the truth. If you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect others to believe in you?
Well, absolutely.
Oh, brilliant. And I believe it's your mummy's birthday.
It is tomorrow. It's her birthday.
Are you going to sing?
Oh, gosh, no, not on
Should
the
we
radio.
Sing? Okay, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't.
I think we'll pass on that
Yeah,
one.
we should, especially if you've heard my voice. So, yes, Mummy, have a lovely birthday tomorrow. Natalie, thank you very much again, and good luck with the continuation of your product. I think it's great. We say there's a lot to take in when you listen to the show. There's loads of gems. There's lots of nudges, especially within the hour with Rashid. But just know that you are good enough, know that you do have skills, and know that you are the author of your own life. I know that feels really difficult sometimes, especially when you're going through stuff, but you are. So it's just about making a decision, sometimes taking a risk, but also sometimes taking the risk that is thought about. So it doesn't feel like you're just jumping off a cliff and you don't know whether there's a safety net, but you're just praying for one. Sometimes you can put safety nets in place and still jump. Do whatever is right for you. I hope today has helped for wherever you are at right now. And I'll see you the same time, same place next week.